Hey guys, today we're going to talk about a topic that may be a little bit depressing, but I think it's something that we need to discuss, and that is knowing when to give up. By the way, if you guys are new to the podcast, my name is Akil Stokes. I am a former struggling trader who came very, very, very close to giving up. I'll tell you a little bit about that later, and eventually turned myself into a successful trader, money manager, and now I am a trading coach and one of the co-founders of Tier1Trading.com, which is one of the leading trading education platforms and companies in the world. If you want to learn more about Tier 1 Trading, just head over to our website, www.tier1trading.com, and check out the available content. This morning, I shared a post on social media, something that I love to do. I've done this from a very long time ago when I was in it actually started when I was in a little bit of a depressed state. I was out of college, I didn't have a job, and I was trying to find positivity anywhere I could. I made a habit of looking up daily quotes, either on the internet or I had these quote books, something kind of uplifting to just kind of get me going in the morning. And I like to continue that habit to this day. And many of those quotes I share on social media with you guys. It's kind of my way of giving back and hopefully inspiring and providing motivation. And today I shared one from one of my favorite people on the internet, Stephen Burns, right? And the quote is simple. It says, "If you want to have big successes, you must have many attempts." Sorry about that, phone going off in the background. And in the caption, give me a second, we've got some, just sent a group text out. We got this big community service thing going on, so everyone's responding. But in the caption that I wrote, it said, "Most people fail because they give up before giving themselves a chance to become successful." Funny story, that was actually the main thing, the first sentence that was in my trading plan initially and in my trading plan to this day. So something I read and rehearsed every single day. Most people fail because they give up before they give themselves the chance to become successful. Success comes from survival, meaning that you need to put yourself in a position to make it through the storm if you want to earn the benefits of what's on the other side. And that's kind of the whole Will Smith saying, right? I think it was Will Smith at least that said, on the other side of fear are the greatest things in life. On the other side of struggle and darkness, right? On the other side of that comfort zone are the best things in life. The problem is most people aren't willing to kind of fight through that pain, fight through that dark period to get there. And I got a very interesting comment. It said, "I feel like this. I've been trading for some years now. Maybe success is around the corner, but how the hell would I know?" Like, okay, I've been trying to do this for so many years now. Maybe it's time to see if this is not for me. Although giving up, or I thought about giving up, but I've invested so much money and time, it feels like such a waste. See the dilemma, or do you see the dilemma? And this was interesting because what you'll typically hear across the internet and most places, especially places trying to sell you stuff, is no, don't give up. You got this. You can do it, right? Unicorns and rainbows and everyone's going to be successful. The harsh reality is, right, most people aren't going to become successful. You know about those comfort zone stats of what 80-90% of people live and stay within those comfort zone. Only 10% of people are on the outside. Same thing with trading, right? And no coincidence, those numbers line up. About 90% of traders will fail, or not necessarily fail, but never become as successful as they want to. 10% will. And part of that is trying. Part of it is effort. Part of it is traders or people not being willing to work through that storm like we spoke about earlier. But there is a part of it where it's like you're just not good enough, right? I come from a sports background, so I think this is one of the things that helped me with trading. The harsh reality is you're going to get to the point where you're just not good enough, right? I had a very good career. I was very good leading up to high school. I was very good in high school, one of the best in my state. But if you want to make it big time to the NFL or professional soccer, you've got to be, right, the best of the best of the best. And the same thing goes for trading. Now, there's a difference in trading and in other aspects of life. You don't necessarily have to hit the genetic lottery. You don't have to be super tall, super fast, super strong, right? You can work and develop a skill. So it opens up the opportunity for more people to be successful and limits the excuses that people have. But the facts are that only a small amount of people are going to be successful. And sometimes you have to call it quits. Sometimes you have to face reality and say, this isn't for me. Because this is kind of like that toxic positivity thing, right? I'm all about being positive. I've shifted my mindset from being pessimistic all the time to optimistic. But if you're too positive, right, toxic positivity, you're going to live in this world that is not real. And reality checks are good, right? Reality checks are needed. So you don't want to be the person that is clearly bad at something, that is clearly unwilling to invest the time and effort and energy to be good at something. You don't want to keep trying if you are that person. If you know that, hey, either I don't have what it takes or I'm not willing to invest what is necessary to be successful, it is better that you quit now because of opportunity cost. At least if you quit now, you give yourself the maximum amount of time to try for something else, whatever that next thing is, right? I actually spoke to a trader buddy of mine I haven't heard from in probably about a year now, who I coached him a little bit with trading. We didn't share the same philosophy and approach, so he went somewhere else, right? No bad blood or anything like that. He just wanted something else from his trading. And he hit me up today, said, hey, Akil, I'm done with trading, but along this journey, I found another form of investing. He's in the real estate now, and he's looking at real estate and flipping and doing rentals as his form of investment instead of actively trading in the markets, right? So he was able to identify like, hey, this trading thing isn't working, right? We had those discussions where, again, I told him he's just not willing to do what's needed as far as the changes he has to make in his trading. You're not willing to do what's needed to be successful. So perhaps you try another educator who is willing to give you what you want to give. It was one of those type of things. And he found another educator, and that didn't work out either. And I think he came to the reality check like, hey, it's me. I'm not willing to shift my thoughts to do what is necessary to be a successful trader, but I can achieve that same goal in something else, right? So by being able to call it quits, he allowed himself the time and energy to invest it in something else. And who knows, maybe real estate will be his thing, right? So we don't want to get to that point where we're blindly doing something that isn't working. But, and this is where the balance comes in, we also don't want to quit too early, right? Because many people call it quits too early. Many people call it quits before they get into the storm, or maybe they dip a toe in the storm and they're in that storm for a little bit, and then they call it quits when they're very close to getting out of it, but they just don't do it. So how do we know? Well, aside from understanding that you're asking yourself the question, is this a passion? Is this something I really want to do? Do I really love this, right? Answering all those why questions. Why am I doing it? What is my greater force? What is my internal motivation? Like, am I doing this just to make a quick buck? Because if that's the motivation, you're not going to last long. Or am I doing this to provide something for my family moving forward generation and generation, right? Start getting that generational wealth cycle going, right? That's one end, and only you can answer that. As far as the technical end, right? You have to run an audit on yourself. And to keep things simple, there are two audits that you have to run. One is a personal audit and one is a systems audit. So the personal audit is, am I doing anything to sabotage my trading? Or facts are, what am I doing to sabotage my trading? How much am I doing to sabotage my trading, right? Are you the problem? Are you making mistakes? And you want to start listing those mistakes. You want to start discovering what those mistakes are. If you don't have the insight to do this on your own, right? Outsource it. Find a friend that maybe knows about trading. Find a coach and have them review some of your stuff and say, hey, what am I doing wrong? Can you point out those things? Because you need to know if and what and how much you are doing wrong, because that's going to have a massive effect on your trading results. Right? Again, in my story, I blame the strategy and the system and the broker and the star and the moons and everyone for the longest period of time. And then I actually ran a test and I saw, holy crap, Akil, it's you. It's you. You are the murderer, right? It was myself. But I would have continued to blame everyone else and never made that fix if I didn't really do that deep dive. So it was very important. It hurt a little bit, to be honest. Of course, it's never fun to realize that you are the problem, right? But it was necessary. I had to rip that Band-Aid off in order to start the healing process. So that's one side of it. The other side that you need to run an audit on is your system, right? This is going to come to a shock to many people, but I guarantee that most traders don't actually know if their system is profitable. They may have heard that it was profitable. They may have seen from an outside source that it was profitable. They may think that it's profitable. But have you actually done the work? Have you actually ran the numbers? Have you actually dived in to your system to make sure that it actually has an edge and is profitable? Many traders have not. So there are many examples out there of traders who are doing everything perfectly. Psychologically, they're not making any mistakes. They're just trading a bad system, and you need to get rid of it, right? Or you need to develop something else. So after you do those two audits, right, you should have an idea of what you need to work on, what needs to be fixed. Now, the next step is actually going about fixing them. And again, you have to ask yourself the question, am I willing to dedicate the time, the effort, the energy, in some cases the money as well, into getting on the right track, into fixing these mistakes? And only after you have exhausted every measure, you have done everything as far as evaluation, you've done everything as far as fixing the holes in your trading. If you've done everything possible and you have absolutely no other options, then maybe that's when it's time to call it quits, right? Maybe that's the time. Now, for me, it's, I can never see myself getting to that point. The reason is I know that there are successful traders out there, right? Let's, kind of take myself out of it because obviously I have a track record, so my belief and confidence is through the roof. But the fact that I'm knowing that people are out there doing it, right? This isn't one big scam where everyone's just pretending to be profitable. People are out there doing it, and people have been out there doing it for years. Knowing that it's like a light at the end of the tunnel. It's like a candle at the end of a very dark hallway, right? I know there's a way to be successful. I just have to figure it out. And if someone else has figured it out, it's not impossible, right? There is a way. So that would stop me from ever giving up. But we all think a little bit differently. Our mindsets are a little bit differently. Are different. Our situations are a little bit different. And hey, it may be okay to call it quits, even if in the back of your mind, you know there's a way to be successful. And the cool thing is, I've seen traders that have given up and been away from trading for 4 or 5 years, come back with a different mindset or a different approach or just a different itch, and then found a way to become successful. So you can always pick it up at a future time. So again, I hope this answers the trader's question. Of course, I hit him back on YouTube already, but I think having these podcasts are great because it allows more people that are kind of thinking about the same thing but maybe didn't get a chance to ask it. It allows them to get an answer as well, and hopefully I've given you some guidance that can help you in your personal journey. If I did, do me a favor, right? Hit the like button, leave me a rating or review for this podcast. That's the best way you can support. Also, share it with your social media network. If you're listening to this podcast, give it a share on Twitter, give it a share on Instagram, right? Give me a shout out. I'll retweet you or reshare your story. I love doing that because I love seeing who's listening to the podcast. And of course, if you ever have any questions about anything you want answered or just want to say hi, feel free to reach out. I'm very available on social media. Just remember, there are a lot of fake Akil accounts. So if I reach out to you first and say something like, hey, how's your trading? Want to buy some Bitcoin? It is not me. Please report. All right. Until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.